On, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Locked In Sports Podcast. I'm William Locke, and joining me as he does every week is Luis Barranco for another MLB podcast. Luis, how you been?
Well, man, it's Thursday. Thursday, mid-July. We are finally nearing the end of the dog days of summer of baseball season, and yeah, man, it's kind of nice. The Marlins still suck. I think every team right now collectively sucks in baseball, if not named the Baltimore Orioles right now, because I feel like nobody wants to win baseball games these days. So, I mean,
That is a great point. I feel like no one wants to kind of separate themselves from the pack. Even the Orioles this week. I mean, they've been getting beaten up by the Cubs, who look dead to rights. So I don't know if anybody wants to kind of take the stand or take the claim of being the best team in the sport. I mean, the Phillies have kind of cooled off, but they've been pretty consistent all year. The Yankees, I mean, we've talked about them at length. The guards have been great. I mean, but I think the biggest surprise for me, and we'll talk about, this is the first half awards podcast. We're going to be reviewing the first half, talking a little bit about the second half, just making some predictions, even though those are always impossible. But we're throwing out some hot takes there. And MLB Draft's coming up next week, so we're going to be talking about that. It's actually on Sunday. And then we're going to be doing just some reaction to the All-Star Game rosters as well on this podcast. To me, I think one of the biggest surprises this year is just the Dodgers. I guess you could say, like, for all of the hysteria that has been surrounding the Yankees and their struggles over the past month, I mean, the Yankees haven't won a series in exactly a month since Kansas City. The Dodgers basically have the exact same record as the Yankees, and you haven't really heard that hysteria.
And the Brewers.
They're right there as well. So, like, things could be worse in New York, but I'm kind of surprised that, and maybe it's just a story of the markets, but like the Dodgers have not had that hysteria, the sky is falling energy around them the way the Yankees have. Now, I will say the Dodgers have had a lot more injuries than the Yankees this year. Mookie Betts going down. Have you seen the Dodgers rotation? I mean, it's their injured list of on the starting rotation. Like their IL starting pitchers could be a top 3-4 rotation in the entire sport. I mean, they're so injured right now.
We're not even going to wine and dine me. We're just getting straight to it today with Thursday, man. What you got tonight? You got a big dinner or something after this or what? We're not going to, we got straight into this podcast. It's 2 minutes in. We're already talking baseball. It usually takes us about 5 to 7 minutes to get, the formalities out of the way, the housekeeping.
The formalities. I mean, it is a loaded pot, so I do want to get going.
Hey, I'm not saying that. At least wine and dine me a little bit, Come on, man. You just can't, Yeah, why are we surprised about these things? I just hate how people just like don't listen, and like we get on this podcast, we talk about it, and we talked about it early in the season. You can go clip it up, and we said that the Dodgers literally right now, like after 1 through 4, I am not scared of the lineup, and they've always had pitching injuries. There's always been question marks between Kershaw coming back, Walker Buehler is not him anymore. And who else is left in the rotation? Gavin Stone's been their best pitcher, and James Paxton, your boy Yamamoto, who you put on a freaking pedestal and I said was freaking garbage can, is on the IL. And what did he do? He's damn near above replacement level, in my opinion. So,
blasphemous.
That's not, bro. Jameson Taillon has been pitching way better than freaking Yamamoto has this year.
Yamamoto has a 2.2 WAR, so he's well above replacement level, though.
Oh yeah, but it's just like 2.2 WAR, great. Like
and Taillon's at a 1.4.
But recently, I'm talking about recently. Christopher Sanchez, Sonny Gray, Mackenzie Gore, Shota Imanaga, Dylan Cease, Reynaldo Lopez has a 2.1 WAR, Jake Irvin, all guys that could have been had for cheaper. And so, like, why are we surprised about the Dodgers? Like, are we surprised? No.
I'm a little bit surprised they're still going to run away with the division. I'm a little surprised that the back half of that lineup's been as poor as it has been. Looking at their injured list of pitchers, though, I just want to read these names off. Walker Buehler, he's got a hip injury. Tyler Glasnow has got lower back tightness, which worries me. I don't like back injuries, especially, if you're 30 plus years old. That's concerning. Tony Gonsolin, TJ,
Glasnow's 30 plus.
He's 30.9, so he's almost 31.
He turns 31 in August. Jesus, he doesn't look 31. Dude looks like he's fresh out of like college.
I know. I do need his skin. I need his skincare routine or whatever he's doing. I need that hair too.
He looks like he could. He looks like a guy out of straight out of the Pike fraternity house out of UCLA. Damn near.
He really does. I mean, he really does.
USC. Rah.
Tony Gonsolin, Tommy John, Clayton Kershaw keeps getting pushed back in his rehab. Dustin May, Emmett Shaheen, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. And then they just sent down Bobby Miller, who is horrible. I know this firsthand because I'm watching his starts because he's on my fantasy team. They sent him down to AAA. So they're left with in the rotation right now, and this doesn't have to be a Dodgers podcast, but just a first half observations podcast. James Paxton, Justin Robleski, Gavin Stone, and Logan Knack. If you had told me 3 months ago, in April, even March at the beginning of the season, that's what the Dodgers starting rotation would look like in July, I would have a hard time believing you. So the Dodgers have had quite the interesting season. And like we said, we both agreed to this at the beginning of the season. If the Dodgers don't win the World Series in every single year that Ohtani is under contract, the season was an unmitigated failure. And I think this season, despite the pitching injuries, has still really kind of proven that there are underlying weaknesses with this roster. Yes, they have the 3-4 guys at the top, but the back half of that lineup, I mean, you're talking about Andy Pages, Miguel Rojas, James Outman, Chris Taylor, Gavin Lux. They're simply not producing. And it's like they're all playing an entirely different sport than the 4 guys in front of them. And it's a huge concern heading into the playoffs. And they got to get these pitchers healthy. A lot of people were touting this team to be the best team in the entire sport for this season. And they're really just not. So fascinating storyline that has stood out to me from the first half.
My question is, when was the last time the Dodgers actually developed a position player? Like, just think about it. Like, we had this conversation off pod about their outfielders, about you have this love affair with freaking James Outman, but I just think he's just a poor man's Brandon Marsh.
He's a good defensive center fielder, but yeah, the bat has not come on. And he's 27. I mean, he's older. For a rookie last year, he's 27 years old. So,
but like, think about it. When was the last time the Dodgers actually developed?
Yeah.
I understand. Like, you could build a free contender out of free agency, but I don't want to get too lost in this conversation. It's just like you have to have some sort of foundation. Go look at all the really good teams right now that have been winning. Like, it is possible. You've seen the Yankees, those historic Yankees teams win, but they've had like building pieces like Posada, Jeter, guys that have been in the system, Rivera. Go look at the Orioles. They're all pretty much homegrown. They have a good foundation, and what they've been doing is just picking up what they need. The Dodgers, they have a great 1 through 5, and they do a great job like re-blasting careers, like restarting careers. But I'm telling you right now, like Gavin Lux, he had a torn ACL, but he was supposed to be the next man up. What has he been? James Outman, what has he been? Who am I missing? I'm missing a bunch.
Pages
is too early. Michael Bush should have been up last year. The only real guy that only developed is Will Smith.
Yeah, Will Smith is what I was going to say.
And it's just like, I don't know. It's just a lot of these teams. Look at Seattle. A lot of Seattle is homegrown. Their whole rotation's homegrown.
Except Castillo, but yes, totally. Cleveland, that's another team, mostly homegrown guys. Jose Ramirez has been there forever.
No, that's what I'm pretty much saying. It's just like with the Dodgers, I literally said it, and they haven't won. So like, it's very concerning that you keep giving the reins to a guy like Dave Roberts, who only won 1 World Series when he's had consistently loaded rosters. If he was in New York, he would be fired.
Well, knowing the Yankees in the modern era, I don't know how quick the trigger is there. But the narrative on Dave Roberts, that 2020 World Series, the COVID shortened season, saved him so much because the narrative on him was that he comes up short every year with these loaded rosters. He wins the COVID shortened season World Series, and all of a sudden he's kind of locked into this job in Los Angeles. And you're right. You're right. He underperforms every year.
He's had some of the most easiest divisions too historically. Like, don't get me wrong, the Giants have been competitive, but they've done they do the complete opposite. They do more with less, and the Dodgers do less with more. So it's like, and I don't know how you fix that lineup. Like, that lineup's good, but I don't know like how many bats are going to be available there. Are you just really going to go buy 3 bats, in the trade deadline? Like, think about it. What bats are you going to be able? Like, you won't be able to get another source. I don't think you're going to boot out Lux at second base. Muncy's still hurt, and then you have these outfielder spots. So I don't know how many players you can actually pick up by trade and just fix everything.
And what bats are going to be available, because we don't know. We feel like there might be kind of a shortage of sellers because of this new wild card. We saw it last year. What will they be able to get with the prospects that they're willing to part with? I think, their farm system has taken a hit over the past couple of years. And also like guys like that have even stayed, like Diego Cartaya was a top 10 prospect in the sport a couple of years ago, has just not lived up to the expectations at the minor league level. Over the past couple of seasons, he struggled mightily, and his value has tanked. So it's like, what are they willing to part with, and really what is going to be out there at the deadline that's going to be a significant upgrade from what they're running out there every day right now. They got some interesting decisions to make, because I think this roster, as it's currently constructed, yes, it has enough talent to win the World Series, but they simply just don't play like a World Series caliber team.
I don't know. It's just a black hole after 1 through 5. That's just my thing. And the funniest thing is their best hitter is Teoscar Hernandez, who was not even expected to be their best hitter.
Well, not their. Ohtani's their best hitter.
Yeah, but the biggest surprise, like Ohtani, you expect that.
Yeah, I was wrong on Teoscar. So and that signing really worked out for them, but they need production from other places.
No, I just don't know. What you do with that roster. Like, they'll win division, but it's just like, let's go look at the playoffs. The playoffs all about matchups. If I'm the Dodgers, I do not want to be playing any of the East teams. And even then, I think the Brewers would be a really difficult matchup for them, because I think the Brewers could actually outpitch them in a series compared to, that'd be a horrible, horrible matchup.
I agree. And you don't want to play – no one wants to play Philly. I think, like you said, Milwaukee would be a tough matchup. That's a team you don't really want to see. Atlanta, like, the bats could get hot at the right time. We haven't really seen it, but they're going to be in the playoffs.
They have the pedigree. That's the thing too. And it's just like,
in Atlanta, I think something that's going to be really good for them in the postseason is they have the arms. I mean, they have a Cy Young candidate in Chris Sale, even without Strider. They have the guys. They have Ronaldo Lopez. So they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs. And we saw them win it without Acuna in 2022. They could very well do it again this year without Acuna and without Strider. It'd be kind of an interesting aspect of Acuna's legacy. But anyway, we're getting a little bit off.
But let's talk about that. Like, that's one of our surprises. Talk about Atlanta. Are you finally back on the Atlanta train?
One of our surprises was Atlanta. I mean,
are you finally back on the Atlanta train? Because I've never gotten off the train. I've been holding that stock, and now you want to, suddenly, you finally believe in nothing. Then I know they're not winning division, but I'm not concerned.
I mean, they played really good. They played a really good series against Philly over the weekend. That I was impressed by them there. They won 2 out of 3. They're playing the 4th game tonight against Arizona. They're 11 games over 500. My thing with them is the past couple of seasons, what's kind of been the fans' excuse, maybe even the front office, their excuse has been, well, we won the division and we were in, the bye kind of hurt us. The week off kind of hurt us. And I'm wondering, maybe, the wild card will, because they're inevitably going to be in it, they're not going to win the division against Philly. Maybe that'll be good for them this year. And maybe, just going out there and playing instead of having to sit around for a weekend will help them. That's my thing with Atlanta right now. They're pretty much locked into a wild card spot. So let me just check the standings. They're 4.5 up of St. Louis for the first wild card spot. Like, I don't think St. Louis or New York or like the Padres are going to catch them. Not even like Pittsburgh. So I don't know. Am I back on the Atlanta train? Talk to me. Like, I hate saying this, but talk to me in October. I like the team. I think they have so much talent. Like, the bats are going to come around eventually. Austin Riley's been heating up a little bit. Had a really good June. So yeah, I mean, can they win the World Series? Sure. I mean, we had 2 wildcard teams in the World Series last year, so it's hard to write off any of these teams.
It's psychology too. Think about it. A lot of it's also psychology. Atlanta's always been the hunted, so it's kind of everybody would play their best game would want to play their best game. Now they're the hunters. Now they're chasing, and it's different from being the one being chased to being that. And when I feel like it's a lot, like both are equally taxing, but I feel like you play harder when you're the hunter. You have to do that extra thing more.
Totally. Yeah, and that's something like with LA, they're going to be the hunted every single season with Ohtani. You know, they're the team that if you're in the National League, you're circling LA. Even if LA did not win the National League last year, they are the favorites. They're the team that everyone – it's not like basketball where, you know, if you win the Western Conference, you know, everyone's trying to construct their roster to beat you. You know, no one's looking at Arizona as like the team to beat in the National League this year. It really fluctuates year over year.
That was a total luck thing last year. They got lucky in the fact that they had good matchups, but I do feel like teams do build around that. Like, go look at the divisions. I feel like the Phillies are built to beat Atlanta.
I mean, Phillies built to beat everybody, I think.
But go look at all the pitching they acquired to neutralize, like the top end pitching that they acquired to just neutralize the Atlanta bats. Because Atlanta has never had like top end pitching. They've had good pitching, but not top end pitching comparison to like Philly. That Philly has always been in the market for those aces. They have 2 frontline guys.
Yep.
So
yeah, Atlanta hasn't really had. I mean, obviously the '90s, that's when they were in their prime with pitching. But yeah, they're certainly an offensive team first, and they're looking to develop their arms internally, like the Waldrop guy out of Florida, and obviously Strider, who's now hurt.
Schwarber too.
Yeah. So I don't know. Interesting conversation. I think we can move into our first half of awards now. We talked a little bit about some surprises and disappointments, but we can go in, name our MVPs, name our Cy Youngs of the first half. We also have like biggest surprise team or player. We didn't really necessarily talk about that. Disappointment, we hit on that, but I have a couple more that we didn't talk about. Some storylines, best moments, and then we'll go from there. But you want to start? Who's your MVP of the first half?
Mr. Aaron Judge.
American League. Sorry,
Mr. Aaron Judge, because I feel like if he wasn't on the Yankees, I feel like they'd be in big trouble.
So you finally come around on that one.
I don't think the Yankees are in trouble. I just feel like they would be in big trouble. I feel like there's a difference between Judge and Soto. There's differences and there's levels. Like, they're both elite hitters, but I feel like one makes more of an impact of a game. Judge just making contact can change a game. Like Soto, yeah, but Soto makes his money off getting on base. Like, he finds a way to get on base. Instead, Soto is looking to Judge is looking to kill the ball. And like the numbers he's putting up, he's hitting like 305, and he's already halfway to his record of 62. Like, if he ends up continuing that for the rest of the season, like, it's how do you not just give him the award? And I understand like the opposite's like, oh, well, Baltimore's having a good year, but like if you take Gunnar Henderson out of Baltimore still wins probably 90 plus to 100 games.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree. Yeah. I mean, Judge is putting up like modern day, like in the era we live where pitching is so dominant. He's putting up like Barry Bonds type numbers in 2024.
No, it is just like he's hitting the ball anywhere. It's like he hit the ball ridiculous. Like that San Francisco series was nuts. Didn't he have a home run in the San Francisco series every game, or 2 out of the 3 games?
Yeah, it was either 2 out of 3 or every single one. It
was just nuts. And like, look, I don't want to hear that like the Yankees stink or anything. Look, if Judge is in the lineup, y'all are gonna be fine.
Yeah, the only thing with him that worries me is the playoff numbers just aren't there.
What are you going to do? How many it's been 3 playoffs, right?
17 16 we didn't make it. 17 was his rookie year. We made the ALCS, lost in 7 games to Houston. That's the closest we were, and then it's been downhill ever since then in terms of getting back to that point. 18 we lost to Boston in the DS. He played, I believe.
And Boston won the World Series that year or the year after.
Yeah, right? They won in 18. They won in 18 in 6 or 5 over LA. 19 we lost again in the ALCS to Houston. 20 we lost in the DS to the Rays. He was healthy that year, so that's 4. I think he was healthy in all of those. 2021 we lost to in the wild card game to Boston. 2022 we lost to we beat Cleveland in the DS and then lost to Houston again in the ALCS, and then that series wasn't even close.
I remember you because the Yankees had so much trouble. Like Cleveland wasn't even like not that I'm not discounting that they had a good year. They won the division, but they were nowhere near like the top, and they just struggled to get in to the most part. Well, didn't they run away with it that year? Cleveland did, and I remember that Cleveland was so young, like their team was like cumulative average age of like 25. And I remember you getting a text from you like on a Saturday night. I'm so pissed off. These freaking little league hits.
No, it was literally dink and dunking you around the place. Yeah, they were so frustrating to play against. It was a really young team. Stephen Kwan's rookie year. Terry Francona was the manager.
Oscar Gonzalez, who's actually, I think he's on the Yankees now, but in a minor league system. Or I think he opted out.
So, yeah, Judge played all of those seasons. We obviously didn't make the playoffs last year. He's played 44 playoff games, and he's hitting .211 with a .772 OPS and 13 home runs.
Well, he's never had protection. Think about it. Not till this year. He hasn't had like the built-in buffer because you're like, oh, but he had Rizzo. I'm like, bro, Rizzo and like LeMahieu, like other than those couple of Mayhew years, once he came after Colorado, yeah, but like he hasn't had these hitters in front of him hitting. So
yeah, he hasn't had Soto level protection. That's for sure. We'll see. I mean, he's got to do it at some point. Stan's been kind of the guy that's carrying us in the playoffs of late, so he's got to do it in the playoffs. Would love to see him hit 60 again. Spoiler alert, that's one of my predictions. I think he gets to 60 plus again. He's at 32 right now through 92 games, so he's got just under 90 games left. I think he can do it.
I think he'll hit 33 in the next 4 days.
I hope so. I mean, we're playing a huge series against Baltimore this weekend. We need that.
And then tomorrow, Garrett Cole goes up again. That'll be a good game to watch tomorrow night.
He's been worrying me a little bit.
Cole versus Poppich. So now let me ask you a question. This is the last thing before we'll get more in Yankee talk later. What contract concerns you more, Cole or Judge? Like now, looking at it now.
That's a great question. I mean, neither of them concern me greatly. The thing I would –
You want to think about it and come back later at the end of the pod?
Sure. I think that's a good tease. My AL MVP of the first half, just to be different, I'm going to highlight Gunnar Henderson. Even though Judge has better numbers across the board, Gunnar Henderson has still been really good for Baltimore. And he has, like, out of nowhere, 27 home runs from a shortstop. He's on pace to have, I believe, the most home runs by a shortstop since Alex Rodriguez did it in the early 2000s in Texas. The thing with me that maybe, if you really want to make a case for Gunnar Henderson for MVP over Aaron Judge is just the defense. 7 outs above average at shortstop for Gunnar Henderson. He's playing a really good shortstop. Aaron Judge is at a -1 outs above average. Defense really isn't a part of his game. But Gunnar, 292 average, 173 OPS or WRC plus, 6.2 Fangraph WAR, which is actually more than Judge. So if you're a WAR guy, that's a tick in his direction. 14 stolen bases. 27 home runs. Judge has 32. He's only 5 behind Judge. No one, really would have seen that coming. So, Gunnar has been that guy for Baltimore, and they're a tough team. I think they're probably going to win the division, and he's been kind of their stud this year. So, just wanted to give him his due, even though I personally think if the season ended today, Aaron Judge would get his second MVP award, should be third MVP award, by the way. But nonetheless, shout out Gunnar. He's been great.
Judge got the PR, man. That's the thing. Judge got that PR, so it's going to be hard to do it. If Judge keeps it up, and it's like he's hitting 300, like what? Who's like the like? I don't know why you pitched to him. To be honest,
yeah.
Like how the Yankees are, I'd rather go at Verdugo right behind him. Right, it's Verdugo right after him right now, right?
Well, they've been moving the lineup around a lot lately because Volpe got moved out of the lineup. It's been Ben Rice hitting cleanup these past couple of games.
Give me Ben Rice, man. Give me the rookie, man. Welcome to Major League Baseball. Like,
hey, as long as Ben Rice is playing better than Declan Rice, I'll take it.
Yeah. Now my question is, if you were to put Gunnar Henderson on the Yankees, do you think he'd do the same thing?
Yeah, he'd probably hit more home runs. I mean, think about the lineup, the protection, the short porch.
I'm saying Baltimore has more protection.
But he would be hitting like probably lead off in front of Soto and Judge.
I'm just saying if you were to swap them.
Yeah, would he have 27 home runs at the break? I don't know, but I mean, it's hard to argue that he'd be in a worse situation in New York than he is in Baltimore in terms of just the guy sitting around him. It's
a worse situation, man. Like Baltimore's lineup compared to New York's, we could all say that New York's lineup is inferior.
Yes, from top to bottom, 100,000%. But the top half, in my opinion, in New York is still better than what they're running out there in Baltimore. I mean, Gunnar, Adley, Ryan Mountcastle, Santander, that's their top four. The Yankees are, well, now it's a mix at leadoff, like Verdugo, Soto, Judge.
It was Volpe, Soto, Judge, Stanton,
which is pretty good. I'd love to throw Gunnar Henderson into that mix.
Hey, maybe in a couple of years, and he has free agency.
NL MVP. I mean, it's Ohtani.
I don't feel we need to really talk about this guy. Like this dude's just he's just doing just crazy numbers. Just imagine if this dude wasn't a pitcher, he just dedicated himself full time to like one side of the field.
Well, that's what he's doing this year.
Yeah, but he's still rehabbing at the same time as Tommy John, his UCL injury. So it's like, what if he was just a hitter like for his whole career? Like that's just ridiculous. Like I don't know what you do about that.
Yeah, he's going to win. I don't really think it's a debate. There's no one else pushing him for MVP. Maybe Harper, but it's not going to happen. He'll win his third MVP award. Barry Bonds has the most at 7.
Should have been 2. Should be 2.
Barry Bonds has the most at 7. He also won 4 straight. Barry Bonds did. This will be Ohtani's 2nd straight. Do you think Ohtani can get to 7?
I mean, I don't think nothing's stopping him. I don't think there's anybody in the NL that could stop him. Unless Mookie has an insane year. And I think what's really helping him out this year is that he's kind of like Mookie's hurt. And you can't bring up the excuse that it's like, oh, well, Mookie Betts is in the lineup too with him. So it's just like, who are you going to give it to if they're both playing absurd? Mm-hmm. It's picking apples to apples. So,
yeah. And I mean, just the fact that he pitches, eventually next year. And if he's hitting at an all-star level and pitching at an all-star level, like, you're kind of as long as he stays healthy, he's just going to win the MVP award every single year. I mean, if Ohtani is plus money to win the MVP award, you're probably too late to get on this. But before the season, like it legitimately might be a good financial investment to put some money on that every single year. And like as long as he's healthy and playing at this level, he's just going to win the MVP award every single year. It's like putting money on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl before the season starts.
My
question on that one too. But
so my question is, what players have? Because at this point, you just have to think about what players could have the actual like skill set to beat an Ohtani and an MVP. And there's only like 3 players that come to mind right now. And one of those guys, they all have like legitimately concerning flaws. All 3 it's pretty hard to bet on. Harper, you could bet on Harper. Thing is, he's coming up in age.
Yep.
It's just like that's 1. 2, Fernando Tatis. He has a skill set. The only issue with him is can he stay healthy? Because at this point, he hasn't been able to stay healthy. If it's been a wrist with the motorcycle this year, it's the what was it, the shin? I forgot what it was, but he's hurt. He got hot. And 3, Ellie De La Cruz. The problem with Ellie is that he's still a flawed hitter. Until he works out the hitting, boom. And then you could put in Acuna, but at this point, betting on a guy coming out of his second ACL surgery, he won an MVP with coming off one ACL surgery, but a second one, I don't know.
Yeah.
The explosion might be gone. So there's only 3 or 4 guys in the NL that could probably do it. And pitching is so hard to do it. And there's no elite pitcher in the NL that you could be like, all right, cool. Maybe Paul Skeens.
Yeah.
Years, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ellie, out of those guys, has the best chance to do it. He just has to work out the strikeouts out of his game. At least, he's at 31% right now. Get that down into the mid-20s and hit 20 home runs, 30 home runs, steal, freaking 80 bases. I don't know. Then, yeah, he would have a good argument. But he's hitting 250 with a bunch of strikeouts. And I don't know if he'll ever be able to work out that part of his game. Now, I will say Aaron Judge was able to work out that part of his game. The low and away slider was a huge, huge problem for him in the first half of his career, first few years. He worked it out completely. So, there is optimism and there is the potential for Ellie to work that out. But right now, yeah, I don't know. It's tough in that.
The thing is, he's 22. Ellie's 22. So it's he's 22 already in the majors. So.
Right.
It's a good potential investment. If he can just do it, I mean, voter fatigue is a thing. Happens in the NBA. Ellie just needs to go hit 50 stolen bases and probably, not 90, 100 stolen bases and probably 40 home runs. And that'll do it. And he's in a good ballpark to do it at Great American. It's a small park. He can definitely nuke some balls. Yeah.
All right. Cy Young, American League.
American League, Tariq Skubal. I think he's been the best pitcher in the AL. It's literally give him the ball and he literally wins the game. And it sucks that Detroit can't put runs up on the board because I feel like if he was on any other team with run support, he would be insane. And I can only imagine that we're going to have discussions real soon about Detroit because Detroit is nowhere near a point of competing. And I had my buddy who actually is from California who watched Spencer Torkelson in high school. I talked to him 2 nights ago and he was like, yo, how's Torkelson doing? What's the deal? And I was like, oh, well, he got sent down to the minors. And he was like, oh, how's he doing in the minors? Like, oh, I think he's doing pretty well. And then I hung up the phone. Conversation ended. I looked up his MLB page, and he's hitting 100 in AAA. And Detroit, as high as I was on them this year, they are currently 45 and 49. Yes, there's 7 wins out of the last 10, but what does the future hold? You're literally wasting Skubal out there, who is probably the best pitcher, and he is the best pitcher in the AL. You're literally wasting him, and he's 27 years old. The trade deadline. That's what I'm saying. The potential haul you can get for him at the trade deadline is ridiculous for a pitcher right now. That I'll give you his stats. My computer there you go. He's 10-3 with a 2.37 ERA and 132 strikeouts. I think you can get an ungodly, unfathomable return for him at the deadline.
Yeah, what's his contract look like? I'm pulling that up.
I don't think he's even been paid yet. So
he's still going through arbitration. He's got 2 more years of arbitration, and then he's a free agent. So basically 2.5 years of control for the best pitcher in, the American League, in your opinion, maybe even the whole sport right now. Yeah, I mean, the return you're going to get for something like that is massive.
Well, you could probably get half of top 10 for a system.
Yeah.
You can get a Soto-esque return. And the guy's always been good. He hasn't been bad. Last year, he went 7-3 with a 2.8 ERA and started 15 games. He only pitched 80 80 innings, and he was hurt last year, I remember. And now he's up to 110, which he's gonna. I believe this is gonna be this year. He's actually going to top his career high innings. But like, it's still like worth it. Like, I don't know why. Like, they're gonna have to have a conversation. Like Detroit really does. He is a 5-pitch mix. It's 4-seam primarily, changeup, sinker, and slider. With a knuckle curve that he doesn't really throw. And he's doing that.
Yeah, I think they would be not doing their due diligence if they didn't, at least field some calls on Skubal, because they're not going anywhere. My Cy Young for the American League, I'm staying in the same division. I'm staying with this guy that I think could get moved at the deadline. This guy's more likely to be moved. It's Garrett Crochet in Chicago. He leads all of baseball pitchers in WAR. 12.47 K per 9 is best in the entire league. 3.08 ERA is a little bit higher than some of the other guys like Skubal, Chris Sale that are in the conversation. But he has been by far and away the best player from the White Sox this year. He was a guy that I was really interested in coming out of Tennessee. Really, tall lefty that threw gas but struggled with command. He really honed in that command this year. And it's really just fastball cutter with a little bit of a slider in there as well. But he's been great. Doesn't really walk a lot of people. So, high fastball, low walks. People don't hit the ball hard against him. He's throwing average 97 miles an hour. So he's been very impressive. I can pull up his contract as well for you, because I think the White Sox would be just not smart to not move him at the deadline. He as well has 2 years of arbitration, and then he's a free agent. So, the haul you can get for a Crochet is going to be equal to the haul you can get for a Skubal, so I think the White Sox should help, kind of revitalize their rebuild by moving Crochet. Now, knowing the White Sox, knowing that organization, they're going to hold on to him and kind of view him as their kind of cornerstone franchise guy moving forward. But I mean, he's been incredible. I think it would be smart to, again, at least field calls on the guy and ultimately, if I was the GM, try to move him and get a huge return.
Well, the issues with him is that he has an IL history. Like, that's his big thing. He had Tommy John surgery in 22, and he's been, in and out of the IL. So the command's been an issue. He's gotten that under control. And it looks like he could get moved because, White Sox did come to did ask him for an extension, and he was like, nah, I'm good, according to what I'm reading right now. Like, they're like, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, he is a building block, but it's just like, can he stay healthy? I'm like, yeah, I think he's had a good first half, but I don't think he comes up anywhere close to Mr. Skubal.
Fair. What about the National League?
Paul Skeens.
Yeah.
That dude is electric. I said it. I watched his first start, and that's all I needed to see. Like, he passed the eye test in the first whatever. He carried a no-hitter today through 7. And granted, he literally plunked a guy and walked a guy. But other than that, he struck out 11. And, like, the dude, you expect this dude just to get pinataed by these teams, but he doesn't. He doesn't really get pinataed. Like, he's passed every single test so far in flying colors. And it's just, there's not really a lot of candidates because the guy you would have thought would be in line, who is Ranger Suarez, he hasn't looked great. He could be falling back to earth. Tyler Glasnow. Paul Skeens is looking like a guaranteed win right now. Once you give him the ball and he goes up for Pittsburgh, he's must-watch television. If MLB had better PR, like the guy, would be Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. But, of course, Mark Manfred put the 6:40 starts time on July 4th, which is something we could talk about on another podcast, how, NFL dominates Thanksgiving, basketball dominates Christmas, baseball really doesn't dominate a holiday. And the holiday they should dominate and take 4th of July, America's birthday. Yet they don't do it. We don't have first pitch till the afternoon.
Yeah, I agree on that. So Skeens has started, I think it's like
11 games.
11 games. and his ERA is a 1.90. You mentioned the no-hitter carrying that late into the game through the 7th inning today. He's only the second player in MLB history with 2 outings in the same season of 6+ innings pitched, no hits, and 11+ strikeouts. The only other pitcher to do that in the history of the game is Nolan Ryan. So that's a great list to be on. He has, he struck out 7 or more in 10 of his 11 starts. That this ties into one of my, favorite storylines. Paul Skeens coming into MLB in May and immediately becoming a top 5 pitcher, if not the best pitcher in the entire sport. It's a great story. It's great for the league. They need to push him more. They're pushing the Livy Dunn thing. That's great. This guy could be the next Clayton Kershaw. He could be the next Justin Verlander. Like, as long as this guy's healthy, he's going to be one of the best pitchers in the game. And he's absolutely electric. I think he should be starting the All-Star game. I think he should be.
If you're a Pirates fan, you hope he does it.
Yeah.
You hope he pitched 99 pitches today. I know if he was on the Yankees and you saw him pitch 99 pitches a year after, and what was it last year in the College World Series already? He pitched 112, 101. Your bones are literally stop. It's about enough. I don't need any more.
It would only be 4 days rest. So you're probably right. He probably won't start, but I think he's deserving, if he was on full rest, to get that start. He's been he's been great. It's a good call. I think he could win the Cy Young, and that's another one of my predictions is I think he's going to finish top 2 in Cy Young voting because I don't think it's that strong of a race right now. And I actually think it's worth a sprinkle to go on DraftKings or whatever you want and put a little money on Skeens to win the Cy Young. He's plus 1,100 right now. I think that's good odds. Especially because pitching injuries are so you never know. The top 2 guys could get hurt.
A couple weeks ago, I was talking about Shota Imanaga winning the whole Cy Young Rookie of the Year, doing the Valenzuela thing. Now it's Skeens. So,
yeah, the only pitcher to ever win the Cy Young and the Rookie of the Year in the same year is Fernando Valenzuela in 83, 81.
I thought, 81. Some early 80s. What do you think stopping? Who's stopping him?
Well, my guy right now is Chris Sale.
Why? Why would he pick Sale over Skeens?
Because he's started 17 games, and Skeens has 11. The K per 9 is up there, 11.9. He's got a 2.74 ERA. I think there's going to be a lot of voters that are like, oh, resurgent Chris Sale year. Kind of throwback Chris Sale to his prime days in Chicago, his prime days in Boston. I don't know. I think he's been the best pitcher of the first half of the entire, the full first half. He's been the best pitcher in the National League, in my honest opinion. Do I think, this is just first half, again, awards, so not for the full season. If Skeens keeps pitching at the pace that he is, I think he should win the Cy Young Award, unless somebody completely surprises me. But that's
you're penalizing Skeens for not playing, 2 months of ball is what you're doing. That's what you're essentially doing. You're pretty much penalizing a guy for not playing 2 months.
Well, it's the awards for the first half of the season. So yes.
But I'm saying, look at the resumes. Skeens and the impact he's done more for Pittsburgh is greater than Atlanta.
I don't know if I agree with that.
We're penalizing him for not pitching 2 months, essentially. And
okay, think about this. Heading into the season, we were talking about the Atlanta signing, Chris Sale going there. We're like, that's cool. He could be rejuvenated there because remember he was dead to water in Boston at the end of his time there.
Yeah, he was.
And the narrative on him was, well, we'll see. Ends up going to Atlanta and pitching at a Cy Young level, and especially in a season where Strider goes down and they absolutely need him or they need somebody to step up, and he does it. I think that's deserving of a first half Cy Young award for me.
So you're not so the same thing for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, a middling team gets Paul Skeens, and now Pittsburgh is in the conversation for a wild card. And without Paul Skeens, Pittsburgh is literally, I don't want to say they're dog water, but they're literally on life support for a wild card. They still have good pitching with Jared Jones and Mitch Keller.
Well,
that's also a surprise. But essentially we are penalizing Paul Skeens for not pitching 2 months of the season.
I just value the 17 starts over the 11 starts. I also think what Sale has done for that team, considering the circumstances, has been huge for them. So, it's nothing against Skeens. It's not his fault that he got called up in May, but I guess like Scale has 6 more starts. I value that,
which is a month and a half of baseball. Which is a month of baseball. We're penalizing for not pitching a month.
No, I don't know if I would say penalizing, but
no, it is, because literally, our argument that we're looking at right now is that we're comparing. Okay, you say that the Atlanta's, Chris Sale gets hurt. Cool, he gets hurt. Type shit. He gets hurt. Chris Sale, Spencer Strider gets hurt. Okay.
Yes.
And, Chris Sale needs to be this ace now.
Somebody.
And so because of that, we're gonna put him in Cy Young, when Paul Skeens, who's a rookie, which, one, he doesn't know MLB baseball. 2, he's on a pretty bad baseball team. Not bad, but just like average to below average baseball team. And he comes in, and now he's taking him to close to the wild card.
But you're acting like Sale's done nothing. Sale's been great.
He hasn't done nothing, but I'm telling you, Sale's been great. But if you take Sale out of Atlanta, like, I understand it's like most valuable player. Like, Cy Young's the best pitcher, and what Paul Skeens is doing is ridiculous.
Okay, I don't disagree with anything you're saying. I think Sale's done it for the full first half.
Okay,
that's all.
All right. What do you think can be a dark horse and come in? Because I just think it's a 2-horse race at this point.
Christopher Sanchez, I would say one of the Philly guys.
I think Rangers falling 2 back. I think Rangers' horse is slowing down.
Yeah, I agree.
So now it's just Christopher Sanchez.
Max Fried's had a really good year. People really aren't talking about him.
Yeah, but then again, if you want to put Max Fried in, then Paul Skeens would be at the top of the list.
Yeah,
because then Fried had a horrible first month and a half of baseball.
Right now, the favorite is Zach Wheeler.
Which is great. We're going to give Philadelphia. Philadelphia's going to get all these awards. Great.
I don't know. I just feel like voters are going to be really enticed to vote for Skeens.
It's a great story, and I feel like what he's doing is something that we probably won't see maybe when we have kids in like 25 years when we're 50. And we have these on video on demand, and we look at them and we're like, holy crap, like, we haven't seen this in like 25, 30 years. I just think it's just video game numbers. Like, a guy that pitches 100, locates it, strikes out guys, and major league hitters can't hit. Who a guy who was literally at LSU, literally in a dorm room last year. No, it's I just think it's just, that's just remarkable. I know we're adding the story and we're not supposed to put any bias, but I just think that's just crazy that this dude a year ago was literally in the College World Series, living out of a dorm room, taking college classes.
Yeah. It's a great story. It's a great story. What about biggest team or player?
I'm quite surprised that I put divisions. I'm quite surprised that the AL West was that weak this year. Like, I expected more. And, like, granted, we saw that Texas could have that little hiccup. But, like, I'm just really surprised that Houston really stumbled out of the gate. And then I'm surprised about the Central. The Central has been very competitive. Like, I think the Central, other than the East, has been one of the more funner divisions to watch. I feel the Royals are a pleasant surprise. I think, like, you could have seen it, but that they were going to be this good, I don't think anybody would have been saying, like, oh, like, the Royals would be in competition to get up to the playoffs or win the division. And then
the American League Central has two playoff teams right now, and Kansas City's a half game out of being the third playoff team from that one division.
And the Twins. And I thought the Twins were dead in the water for what they did, but it's remarkable. Like, Carlos Correa's played well, deserving. Willie Castro's played really well. Joe Ryan has pitched phenomenal. Pablo's been phenomenal. And this has been doing it without Royce Lewis, who I kind of feel like he's one of those players that it's just like he's an enigma. If they get him and he gets going, I think that team can actually do damage in the postseason. I feel like they can wreck some of those teams ahead of them because they do have the pitching and they do have like I don't want to say league winners, but they have guys that can win games.
Yeah, I mean they've
They
been
got
great.
They got WMDs. If we were back in the 2000s with George Bush era, they got WMDs. They got weapons of mass destruction hitters. And like they're like Aaron Judge, man. Like if you have Judge, you got a chance. Just put one or two guys ahead of them, get on base, and you can put 3 runs, and they have the pitching to do it.
Yeah.
Now think about it. What's the difference between the Twins and the Yankees?
I mean, the Yankees have 2 MVP candidates and a Cy Young winner. The Yankees are better than the Twins. The Yankees own the Twins. No offense, Joe, but he knows it's true. I mean, I do like Willie Castro just got named an All-Star today. Great. I mean, he's top 15, top 20 in WAR this year. Just impressive. Really impressive. Yeah. I mean, they lost Sonny Gray. I was down on them a little bit heading into the year, but it looks like they're probably going to make the playoffs. So,
but I'm just saying, it's just like, what's the difference? I mean, Garrett Cole hasn't been Garrett Cole, and we don't know if he's going to be Garrett Cole this year. Like you said, you're concerned. And then you've seen that whole Matt Blake rotation just completely take a dog shit, become dog water in the past month. Yeah. So now you're literally comparing the staff of the Yankees and Twins. I think I'd take the Twins. I think I would take the Twins with Pablo Lopez and Joe Ryan. As much as I love Stroman, I hate Rodon.
It's terrible.
And then you finally hop on the Rodon train. Wow.
He's terrible. Yeah, he's got terrible body language too. Can't stand it.
He's just one of those guys that just pitches 97 and he leaves a freaking piñata cake right down the middle, and then he just gets mad and loses all composure. He's one of those guys. Like he and somebody said it best that Carlos Rodon is one of those pitchers that if things are going right, good. If things are going bad, awful. It's like one of those guys that once he gets in his head, it's like whatever. And since he's I don't want to say past his prime, but since he's older now, he doesn't have the stuff to be throwing 98, 99, overpower guys with the fastball.
Yeah, Soto just swung really hard. It looks like he's grimacing. He's grimacing hard. Looks like he's hurt his oblique or something.
He needs to get shut down, man. They shut Soto down for like 2 weeks. Similar to the Aventura concert at Madison Square Garden, like he was posted up on Instagram at the Aventura concert, man. The form, but like back to what I was saying, I'm just really surprised at the Central, and I wouldn't be surprised that the Twins matched up with the Yankees, and I feel like that would be a very, very interesting series because I feel like, yes, the Twins don't have the marquee names, but they do have hitters that are WMDs. I think Royce Lewis could be that good. And
I mean, he did it in the playoffs last year, so
he just got to be healthy.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing for me. Biggest surprise, I think the Guardians being the second best team in baseball. No one had that on their bingo card heading into the year.
And we didn't, and we forget you have to talk about the Central, how good the Guardians have been.
Yeah.
So.
And they've really been doing it without any good pitching. I mean, BB, whatever.
Tanner Bibee,
I think. I don't know.
BB.
He's been great, but he's a 2.2 WAR. They don't have another starting pitcher with a WAR above 1. I mean, not even close. 0.7 Ben Lively is their number 2 guy. He's at a 3.57 ERA. It's really been the story of like Steven Kwan becoming one of the best hitters in the sport. No one had that on their bingo card this year. He's hitting 361 in 65 games. J-Ram, obviously, been great. 23 home runs at this point. Just incredible. Josh Naylor, 22 home runs. David Fry kind of coming out of nowhere, being good. Like their lineup is pretty scary. We'll see if they can do it in the playoffs, but I picked them to win the division, so I do feel good about that prediction.
I was going to ask you a question.
They've been a huge surprise. Huge surprise.
How's Andres Jimenez doing?
252 average, 5 homers, 14 stolen bases, 1.5 Fangraph WAR.
That's pretty on the Andres Jimenez, not average Jimenez season. I'll be interested what to do at the deadline. I would like to see him trying to get a shortstop upgrade and maybe one back. And get a pitcher. I feel like they will be one of those teams that they'll call up the Rays and get one of those Rays pitchers, like those Aaron Savale, Zach Eflin type of pitchers that isn't like a needle moving move on paper, but will just pitch well enough down the stretch.
Savale already got moved to the Brewers.
He did. They're like The Cleveland Indians are the the Cleveland
Guardians.
Guardians. Sorry, the Cleveland Guardians are the AL version of the Milwaukee Brewers with hitting and without pitching. Like they're just inverse.
Yeah, I would say they're opposites. Yeah, Rocchio, their shortstop hasn't been great, so that's the kind of their weak spot. So maybe they can go out and get a guy at short. And they have the first overall pick. They have a loaded farm system, so I think they're one to watch at the deadline.
Mm-hmm.
For me, biggest disappointment: Blue Jays and Cubs. Cubs were a team that I picked to win the division. They've just been horrible, although it looks like they're going to sweep Baltimore, which is crazy. Blue Jays, worst team in the American League East. It's not really close. Is a team that I thought could be pushing for the playoffs. They just haven't hit, haven't pitched. Lost Manoah for the year. And then players, Anthony Rizzo, and then any Yankee. I mean, Anthony Rizzo being one of the worst hitters in the whole sport. And then any Yankee hitter not named Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. They're on my list. Looking at you, DJ LeMahieu. I guess I can't throw Giancarlo in there. Looking at you, Gleyber Torres. Looking at you.
Abysmal. Like, that dude has been awful.
Yeah.
And it's his contract year, too, man. Like, bro, you got to get paid, man. Like, you've literally plunked your market. Hey, but, you can send them to go get Jazz Chisholm. You see that rumor the Yankees going for Jazz Chisholm?
I would take it. He's an upgrade from Gleyber for sure.
Could you imagine a lineup with Jazz Chisholm, Juan Soto, Giancarlo Stanton?
It'd be fun. I think he'd thrive in New York. I think like Stroman, he's kind of like got Marcus Stroman energy. I think he would thrive there.
Could you imagine Stroman and Jazz Chisholm in a clubhouse?
I feel like they would like each other. I feel like they would get along.
They would get along, but it's just like the amount of strikeouts that lineup would induce. Like that's like the last.
Yes.
Like I understand, like he is the guy. He is like a talent, but I don't think like he's the type of bat you want to add to that lineup. Like you want to add bats that like get guys that get on base, not guys that are just gonna strike out.
Yeah.
And I feel like ending the Jazz Chisholm center field project would be a good idea.
That I agree with.
We put him at second. The Volpe, I think Volpe and Jazz can get along too.
Volpe's been disappointing though.
I mean, it is interesting. I'm disappointed in Julio Rodriguez.
Yeah, we talked about that one for sure.
Like, man, like him, the Cubs are literally, but the thing is, the Cubs are literally the same record they were last year at this point in the season. I read the stat, they're the same record. So they didn't do much with the roster. So it's just like people are acting like, oh, the Cubs, yeah, because you got rid of David Ross and got one of the best managers in the game. But what are you working with? You're still working with the same players you had last year, and you've only upgraded with Imanaga. You have the same hitters. Everything's pretty much the same, box standard. You've ran it back.
Yeah, and they lost Stroman. They lost Stroman too.
So Stroman for Imanaga, which is probably a push right now.
Yeah, I would agree.
Biggest
storylines.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Biggest storylines. I got Ohtani, the whole gambling thing at the start of the year. That was crazy. The pitching injuries, that was a huge story in the first month. I think that is still one of the biggest stories of the first half. Just the overall lack of scoring. Offense has been down. This year, pitching has dominated the sport over the past 5 to 8 years. I don't know. I don't know if that's good for the long term of the sport. There's been some betting stuff. The guy from the Padres, obviously the Ohtani thing, like I just mentioned. What?
David Fletcher, the pitcher, the knuckleballer.
David Fletcher. And then like favorite stories, I mentioned Skeens becoming a top pitcher already. And then the Guardians, I've loved that story. You have a couple on here too that you.
I have two big ones. Pretty much the big ones. Trout getting hurt's pretty depressing because like I think it's just bad for the game. We all want to see him play. And I feel like if he was healthy, he would be traded by now. So, I feel like they would move him. On that note, I have to tell you this. So I read something. I think it was on Twitter or on Reddit, and the guys they were talking about DJ LeMahieu, comparing the whole DJ LeMahieu, and some guy said the biggest Cashman move would be him making a trade for the Angels for Anthony Rendon.
Oh my gosh. Why? No way. Do not subject me.
Somebody posted the most Cashman Yankee move would be him trading for Anthony Rendon and like the Angels picking up a little bit of money and the Yankees trading for him for like scraps and him ending up being at third.
He's a free agent, right?
What?
Rendon's a free agent after this year, right?
Or next year, I don't know. But they said like the trade, like getting him via trade, spending assets to get him, like a mid-level prospect.
Please, no.
That would be, if that happens, that'd be funny. It is such a Cashman move.
Oh yeah.
Like just picking up some dude like over the hill, and expect them to just pop again. Oh boy. But yeah, no, Trout hurt, and the other one is the Mets have been pretty fun to watch. The whole Grimace thing, it's all vibes. That project suddenly looks very attractive to free agents.
Yeah, and
They're
Juan
playing
Soto is a free agent.
no pressure, anything. I think New York would burn down if Soto went from the Bronx to Queens, though. I think
Yes.
I think it would not happen. It would be like Michi Batshuayi. You see what he did?
Did he go from Fenerbahce to Galatasaray or vice versa?
Yeah, or the other way around. He did it. He's played for I think there's 4 clubs in Istanbul, and he's played for 3 of them. That is the definition of a Benedict Arnold.
Yeah. Yeah, that would not be good for Yankee fans.
No, but those are some of the things. Best moment, Rookwood Field. We both agree, good for the game. Hopefully, we get more of the moments when we get a good second half. I got some predictions I posted up here. One of my predictions, I think the Yankees bounce back. I think they make the playoffs. I think they'll make a couple moves. I think Cashman's job. I think that whole executive machine that is running the Yankees is on the hot seat. So I feel like they have to do it. And I said it the other night. It would be organizational malpractice if Oswaldo Peraza and Roderick Arias were still in the Yankees farm system after July 31st.
And I agreed with you.
They have to do something. And they just and it's not one move. It has to be multiple moves. And I'm not saying you have to go get the biggest fish out there. You don't have to go get a Crochet. You don't have to get a Luis Robert. I'm just saying you just got to get guys that are going to come in and produce. Guys that get the job done. Hey, maybe a Brent Rooker. Who knows? Put him in the outfield,
Yeah, they have to go for it the one year they have Soto. They have to be all in.
Maybe get Brent Rooker. Maybe, I don't know. There's just not many hitters, as I said. Maybe get another catching upgrade because, Jose Trevino, they're like the freaking Shannon Sharp meme. When people see Jose Trevino like that, and you're like, oxtail, jerk chicken, oxtail. You've seen that meme before, of him looking at it. Candy yams. He's like, oxtail, candy yams. Another one was like jerk chicken. That's how they look at him when runners look at him at the base pass. Barbecue chicken alert.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. My first prediction: Astros are going to win the AL West. They're only 2 games back right now. They've been playing great ball of late. Give me that pedigree in the second half. I think even with the pitching injuries, Jordan's having a great year. He's hitting just under 300. I think they can win that division. I don't think that's that hot of a take. I bet on them when they were 10 games back to win the division at some decent odds. So I'm feeling good about that pick.
I'll take the Rangers missing the playoffs and goes to a rebuild. They've been hot. They've won 7 out of their last 10. I think they'll miss the playoffs and go to a rebuild.
Rebuild?
They really don't have any pitching. They're old. They're very, very old. The Grom's coming out. Scherzer, Tyler Mahle, all those dudes have major injuries, and they're all up in age. It's not like they're in good age ranges. So give me that. Yeah. I'll take Wyatt Langford winning the Rookie of the Year, running away with that one in the AL. That'll be one I'll take.
Yeah, he's been great since he's come back from that injury. It's been great.
He hit for the cycle versus the Tigers. Could you imagine? And I think the Tigers are really regretting not having Wyatt Langford pitching them last year instead of Max Clark. So
it's a great point. You make a great point. You really do.
They really need everything they can on offense. They don't have any hitters, but knowing how Detroit's been, they will probably wreck his swing.
And by the way, Max Clark is hitting 270 this year with a 789 OPS. 799 OPS, 285 average with 6 home runs in 267 ABs this year in A ball. So it hasn't been like tearing the ball off the, tearing the cover off the ball.
When how many Instagram reels has he posted? Instagram highlights has he posted?
Yeah, that's the thing about that. When you post like that and it's not going well, you're gonna get clowned.
You're gonna get clowned. I'm also taking the Mets making the playoffs. The Mets are such a good feel-good story, and they've just played good ball. I mean, it would be their best interest to sell, but I think the Mets are just playing good ball, man. The NL is weak. Those teams are very bad.
They're up and then they're down. They're up and then they're down. I mean, it's really a matter of who gets hot in the last 2 weeks. I think will win that third NL wildcard spot.
Mm-hmm.
And you got anything else?
I'm thinking one NL West team makes the playoffs. I think the Giants, the Padres, and the Diamondbacks will all miss the playoffs. The Padres got a lot of injuries, haven't been playing good ball. I think they'll miss the playoffs.
You don't think the Rockies will make it?
I mean, I don't know, man. I think I might get married first before the Rockies win a World Series.
I hope so. They're only 15 games back in the division or in the wild card. All right, I got Astros winning the AL West. I think the Yankees missed the playoffs.
You're just so dead down on them right now. This is
only 4.5 up. Going to lose again right now to Tampa. Going to get swept this weekend in Baltimore.
The annual William Doomsday Yankee. It happens every year. It's like seasonal affective depression. It happens every year during the winter months.
We did it last year. We did a pod in early May. Said the Yankee season is over, and what happened? They were terrible.
But they were terrible. They were absolutely terrible, man. There was no redeeming qualities. There actually are redeeming qualities this year.
It's similar to the Dodgers. Outside of the top 2 hitters, what are you getting? What kind of production are you getting?
I'd rather have the Yankees lineup back half than the Dodgers back half.
It's the battle of mid to below mid, but sure. I got Aaron Judge getting 60 home runs again. I got Ellie getting 90 stolen bases. I think less than 10 qualified hitters hit above 300. Right now, there's exactly 10 qualified hitters hitting above 300, but Mookie Betts is a qualified hitter right now. He'll drop out of that. I think Harper, who's at 299, I don't think he's going to get it. Jordan's at 297. I don't think he'll hit 300. Ozuna's at 296. I don't think he's going to hit 300. Josh Smith from Texas, 295. He won't get it. Freeman might get in there at 295. And then everyone else, like Quan will get it. He's hitting 361. He's leading the league right now. Yelich is hitting 335. Comeback season. Bobby Witt will get it. He's at 325. Ohtani will get it. Judge will be close, but I think he can get it. Arrays will get it, even though he's having a down year by his standards. So I don't think there'll be 10. And I wish I could tell you the last time that less than 10 qualified hitters hit above 300. Might have been last year. I don't know. But if you went to the 80s, it'd be a lot more than 10 in the 90s even. And then my last one I already mentioned, but I think Paul Skeens will finish top 2 in Cy Young voting, if not win the whole thing.
You want a fun fact?
Yeah.
Josh Smith, the ex-Yankee prospect.
Yeah. What was the trade? Was he in the was he in the Joey Gallo trade?
That Joey Gallo trade is awful. It was him and Ezekiel Duran and Glenn Otto, who pitched a little bit in Texas. Glenn Otto, Ezekiel Duran, and Trevor Hauver, who's still a minor leaguer, and Josh Smith for Joey Gallo and Joely Rodriguez, who Joely Rodriguez is a reliever now for the
he went to Boston.
Yeah, he was in the Mets. Now he's in Boston.
He was good for us. He was the better player in that trade than Gallo.
He pitched in 21. He pitched in 21 appearances, a 2.84 ERA. So the Yankee declined the $3 million option, but signed him later for a $2 million option. And then he was traded for Miguel Castro in April.
Oh, yeah. I don't even think Miguel Castro's on the Yankees anymore.
He was on the Mets. So Miguel Castro that year was on the Yankees, and then he pitched. He was on the 60-day IL with a shoulder strain, and then in 34 games he registered a 4 ERA with 31 strikeouts and 29 innings. So
yeah, he was not good.
Not good.
That was 2022. Yeah.
So yeah, that was a bad trade. My last one, Paul Skeens wins Cy Young and Rookie of the Year. I don't know. I've just been twerking for Fernando Valenzuela 2.0. I said it with Imanaga. I'm gonna say it with Skeens. So
It'd be great. It'd be great to see. It would be great to see. All right, All-Star game team reactions, real quick.
I think they got it right. So I don't really have many things. Like the thing is, a lot of guys are dropping out. So there's guys that are deserving that are making it. For example, Willie Castro, I had on my team. He ended up making it, and there's going to be guys that are going to drop out between now and Sunday. So.
Yeah,
the snubs that are snub, like Christian Walker, he might find his way on. Lindor, Nimmo, Munoz, like they're all going to make it. Great first half, but kind of falling off a cliff. So
doesn't. He had a good start. He had a good start against Boston last weekend. I thought Terrain got robbed. I thought Lindor got robbed.
Yeah, people are saying Lindor robbed, but like I'm saying, he's probably going to make it.
Yeah, Phillies have 7 guys.
Deserved the best team in the first half right now. So
yeah. Interesting tidbit. Helio Ramos from the Giants is their first homegrown outfielder to make the All-Star team since Chili Davis did it in 1986. And if he selected to start in place of the injured Fernando Tatis Jr., will be the first Giants outfielder to start an All-Star game since Willie Mays did it in 1971.
Wait, you're telling me Bonds didn't start out, or was Bonds DHing?
He must have been DHing, yeah.
That's nuts. For such a franchise that has a lot of history, that's crazy. And like, it's not like the Giants haven't had like bad like outfielders. They've literally had Hunter Pence, Carlos Beltran. I know Carlos Beltran, I think, was like for half a season, but it's not like we're talking like they had bad outfield corps.
Well, it was homegrown guys. So Bonds was started out in Pittsburgh, and obviously Beltran started out in Kansas City. Pence. Did he start out in San Francisco? I don't remember if he came up.
Pence started in Houston, and then Pence went from Houston to San Francisco, or went from Houston to Philly, and then Philly's over.
Yeah, and he played a season in Texas. Yeah,
like way after. That's pretty crazy for a team. And like, it's not like San Francisco has bad player dev. Like they do a good job with player dev. So I'm not saying it's great player dev because I'm going to get clipped up and people are going to say, oh, you say everybody has good player dev. Like, it's decent. It's better than some player devs like Colorado's player dev. When was the last time you heard a good homegrown Colorado player?
Yeah, Brendan Rodgers, I guess.
Trevor Story's been above average, like more hype than substance.
He is always hurt, unfortunately.
Home run dirty, who do you got?
I mean, it's Pete Alonso's Super Bowl, so his World Series. This is his, this is why he plays the game. So hard to bet against Pete.
Yeah, I'm betting Pete.
I guess Gunnar. I think Gunnar has a good swing tailored for a home run derby. But like Bobby Witt, no, Bobby Witt's not going to win this thing. Bohm is not going to win this thing. Teoscar.
Why the hell is Bohm invited? Bohm, bro. Like, no. Like, why? Like, MLB, send some money out and go get like. Look, I don't care if it's like not Judge. There's like, it's like in the NBA. Like, okay, you can't get Zion Williamson, but go get a guy that actually like dunks, that actually does like good. Go get Aaron Gordon. Like in MLB, go give Joey Gallows some money. I don't care. I'll watch him swing.
Take
care
of
the player of the ball.
I think guys like Teoscar Hernandez, Ozuna are going to get tired. I don't think Jose Ramirez has the power to do it. Adolis maybe in his home stadium, but I'm going with either Pete Alonso or Gunnar Henderson as my pick.
Give me Pete. I know Adolis is a very good one because he's a showman and he's gonna love doing it at home. But like MLB, why couldn't we go pay freaking, I don't know, just give me Rowdy Tellez up there, man. I don't know, or something like that.
Give me Ohtani.
No, Ohtani wouldn't do it. Give me like Rowdy Tellez. Give me Daniel Vogelbach. Just like screw it. Or even get Jordan to do it.
Oh my gosh, that would be terrifying. He scares me so much the way he's just when he's in the box. I'm like, yeah, he's gonna hit this ball 500 feet.
Give me Jordan. Who else would be great for a derby? Jordan would be amazing. Like what's that dude?
Josh Naylor.
Yeah, he'd be all right. Give me Jock Peterson again. He'd be pretty good. Like, why couldn't we get him to come back? Like, he's Arizona, right? Still,
Schwarber would be good.
Schwarber would have been good.
Nolan Gorman's got some pop.
Nolan Gorman, give me guys with like nice pop. Like, don't put guys that don't do like Alec Boehm. I love watching him play, but he got no pop. That bat, Respectfully, give me Ellie, bro. Put freaking Ellie up there. Just like
I was gonna say Ellie De La Cruz or like O'Neal Cruz.
bro, and isn't O'Neal Cruz have like 8 home runs over like 420 feet?
Yeah, he has absolute nukes.
Some stat like that. So yeah, just bro, MLB, get it right, bro. Manfred screwing the pooch again, bro. Get it right.
Jazz Chisholm would be good in a home run derby.
I don't think he has enough pop. I think he has enough pop, but I don't think he got like pop like that.
Pop. What about the draft? We got it on Sunday, first round, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern.
Who do you like this year?
I mean, Condon's my guy for sure. I think he's the best prospect in the draft. I don't really think it's close. I mean, the guy, he would challenge for the top spot in most drafts. He set a modern record in home runs in a single season since, the NCAA switched to BB Core in 2012.
He disappeared in the regionals though.
Who cares? It's like 3 games, like whatever. Who cares? He's going to be at third base, probably maybe moving to outfield, but he doesn't swing and miss. He doesn't swing at the slider down and away, and he did it. He produced in the best league in the country in the SEC. He's 6'6", 216. Like, he's a big dude. I like that. I think that projects well. I don't know. I think he's far and away the number one prospect. Does that mean Cleveland's going to pick him? I don't know. Right now, no one really seems to know who Cleveland's going to pick. Overall, it's a bad draft compared to last year. Like, last year was a loaded draft. This is a bad draft. There's still obviously talent at the top, but not much depth in this year's draft.
What do you think about Caglione?
I think he needs to just be the Jack Caglione for those don't know. First baseman, lefty, pitcher from Florida. I think he's a little bit more hype than substance. He's a great hitter, but I don't think he should be. I think he should drop the pitching altogether. He's a reliever at best. Decent change, but nothing that's really going to project well in the pros. I think dead pull hitter, which concerns me a little bit. Strikeout rate was down this year, and he hit a ton of home runs in the SEC, so that bodes well. But it's basically a power bat. You're still gonna get a lot of strikeouts, kind of like a Joey Gallo type player. He's okay. But I don't think he's going to go like 1 overall. I think he'll maybe go top 5.
Well, there's that Texas A&M guy. There's Weatherholt. There's a bunch of dudes. It's pretty just like, and what I was having the same buddy I was talking to the other night. Like, the best player in the draft doesn't go number 1 in MLB.
Yeah,
because it's like last year was a rare case because it was a generational draft, but like rarely does because you got to think about the slots and the money picks.
So dumb. I hate that.
You also got the ambidextrous pitcher from Mississippi State.
Mississippi State, yeah.
Yeah, I can't say his name. I'm not going to get tie. Jurangulo Singente.
Yeah. You also got Travis Bazana from Oregon State, who's kind of reminds me of Nick Madrigal.
Travis Bonanza, the Australian dude.
Yeah, he's Australian. He set the career hits record at Oregon State before he finished his junior year. Great plate discipline. Hit tool, power tool. He's a second baseman, so not much defensively you're going to get from him. But, he's small. He's like 5'10", 6 foot, under 200 pounds. College guy, but I think he'll be good. I don't think he's going to be, an all-star. I don't think he's going to reach that level. Weatherholt, the injury worries me, but he would have been R1, P1 if he was healthy for the full year. No one's really seen him healthy for the full year, though. Before Chase Burns, top pitching prospect, in my opinion, from Wake. I think Colorado has to pick him up at 3.
They're saying he might be a red. If Condon's not there, they're saying he'll be a red.
How many times is Cincy going to pick pitchers? They need to. I guess they have too many bats. So,
the thing is, those bats have been pretty bad, so they do need bats.
True,
really. But yeah. So yeah, draft on Sunday.
What else? Under the radar guy that I like, Ryan Waldschmidt from Kentucky, struggled in the supers in the College World Series, but hit 370 with a 500 OBP on the season. He's a bit of a project, but he's still 22 years old this year. Really good hit tool. I think he needs to work on like his approach, his stance a little bit, but I think he's going to be good. Yeah, the ambidextrous pitcher from Mississippi State's an interesting one. Brody Breck from Iowa, right-handed pitcher. I like him.
Oh, please. Hopefully he doesn't end up in like the worst case scenario, he ends up like in LA or like Baltimore because
yeah,
they'll make him an absolute, don't let them get like, oh no, please no.
The Yankees will pick some high school guy because we always go for the high school guys, it seems like. Tommy White.
What's up? Y'all like minors up there in New York?
What?
Yeah, what's up with the Yankees? They're looking high school, man.
They always go who do pick? Like George Lombard Jr. was our pick last year.
Minor.
He's never. All right, you're on the Kendrick Lamar stuff.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. What's up? What's up with that?
Well, these guys are all okay. We don't need to talk about that.
Let's go with locks. Who do you got this week?
I'm going with a surprise one. Probably only going to go a half unit here, but White Sox to win the series over the Pirates. I just like the spot. Chicago's off Thursday. They're at home for Wednesday. Pittsburgh was playing Thursday, Milwaukee, like we said this afternoon. Friday, you got Garrett Crochet versus undecided. Saturday is, I think they actually changed it from when I wrote this down. So don't mind. Because so it's Jonathan Cannon for the White Sox, who's not good, but he's pitching against Luis Ortiz. And then Sunday, Mitch Keller versus Chris Flexen. I like those Sox to win Friday, and I think they can win Sunday with Flexen on the mound, who's been one of the more underrated pitchers this year. So half unit heading into the All-Star break. I like Chicago to win a surprise series against Pittsburgh at home.
Give me Detroit this week. I'm the biggest Detroit lover on this podcast. Detroit beating the Dodgers this weekend. Detroit is 7-3 in their last 10. They played the Guardians tonight, and they won 10-1.
Yeah.
LA's traveling from Philadelphia right now, so they have James Paxton up tomorrow night versus Tariq Skubal. So I expect Skubal to do work tomorrow night. Now that I say that, he'll get plunked after giving Mario flowers tonight. And then Saturday's pretty much a bullpen day, and then Sunday's undecided. So give me Detroit to win tomorrow night, and then they just got to find a win one. And they've actually been scoring runs. Detroit put up 10 runs today. They just won a series against the Guards, and they won a series against the Reds. And they were in a very competitive series versus the Twins. So they won one out of three versus the Twins. But coming off two straight series wins, coming off a sweep of Cincinnati, and then they won 3 out of 4 against the Guards. So give me at home.
It's in Detroit?
Yeah, it's in Detroit. And Detroit's at home right now. So they don't travel. They get to sleep in their beds tonight. They're at home probably right now because the game was an afternoon game. LA is traveling all the way. There's bad weather up there. The game's going to be very bad. Conditions games. Those LA boys don't like traveling that much. It's like when Florida goes up and plays a team like Michigan in December. Like, what's going to happen, man? They don't like. I'll never forget with my buddy John. We were watching the Florida State Notre Dame game, and during pre-games, all the Florida State players were like bundled up in like hoodies, jackets, and you would just see the Notre Dame guys just in freaking just shirtless, just doing their pregame warm-ups, just like another day in the office for them.
It is July, I will remind you.
But you do have Hurricane Beryl up there, Tropical Storm Beryl coming through.
Yeah, it looks like some rain going through Detroit this weekend. All right. That's a loaded pod. We said it was going to be loaded. Thank you, everyone, for listening. It was a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed our recap of the first half. Please be sure to like, rate, review. Helps the podcast visibility. Let us know how we're doing. We'll be back next week, probably talking trade deadline because that's coming up in a couple of weeks now. So it's the biggest thing that happens in the regular season. So we'll keep it locked for there. You got anything else before we get out?
Not much. Hope everybody enjoys the Euros and Copa America. Hope it enjoys good actual football and then soccer at 7 p.m. when they see the freaking cage match that's going to happen at Hard Rock Stadium. If you have any loose change, I would bet the over on yellow cards, over on fouls, bet at least on red, bet at least on an injury. I've been saying Colombia's going to win the whole thing. Smashing Colombia. It's not coming home this weekend. I'm sorry. Spain's going to win this weekend. Give me Spain and Colombia. Give me Pablo Escobar FC and freaking Tapas FC this weekend.
Wish the Netherlands won, but That's a story for another day.
Hey, they got robbed. They got robbed. That's a pod. We can get touchline talk to talk about that one. So.
Yeah, enjoy the draft this weekend. Enjoy the home run derby. Enjoy the All-Star game. It's always a lot of fun to watch those. I hope everyone had a good fourth, by the way. I know we're a little bit past that, but
that's right. Happy fourth. Hope everybody enjoyed that. Hope everybody talks to people, just enjoyed that. So
yeah. Alrighty. Thanks all for listening. We'll be back next week. Until then, peace out.